I wonder, and I open this up to the group, what were your thoughts in 2016 when you saw Colin Kaepernick take a knee?
Personally, I was a fan of Kaepernick, but to see him go through the things that he went through, it was never about the flag. It was a protest, and all of us understood that. I understood that, and I think all athletes understood that. I would have kneeled then for him, and I would do it now. The old saying is, if you spend sufficient time on your knees, you have no trouble standing on your feet. So he was asking everybody to spend sufficient time on their knees in reverence of what was going on. And I thought it was a great gesture.
I just thought he was doing a great justice for what was happening at that time in the country. He was really just fighting for some type of justice in the system that would change about police brutality that was spoken 2016. Now we're here in 2020 and we're still talking about the same thing going into 21, and the country's upside down. Had we done something back then and paid attention for everybody else having opinions about him, things may be different today.
You know, George Floyd was a long time after Colin Kaepernick made his stance for exactly the same issue. What was encouraging to me was the black and white people in those Black Lives Matter demonstrations. I was encouraged. My granddaughter, who goes to Temple University in Philadelphia, you know, I was suggesting to her, hey, this might be a good time with the pandemic and everything else going on. You might want to just lay low. And she sent me back a picture of her with her mask on, and she said, too late. I've already taken it to the streets. You know, it's like, that's the difference now. Variety of people in those demonstrations from all walks of life, black and white. I felt like that was a loud statement. The thing with Kaepernick was, you know, when you kneeled and it was the flag, it was very easy to distort the meaning. It was very easy to take it in exactly the wrong direction. And people who were not of his persuasion found that easy to do. This is anti-patriotic, and it never was, and it never was meant to be. We've got to keep working at clarity so people understand it, and so it can't be distorted by somebody who wants to say people that hate America. That's all wrong. These are people that are putting themselves out there to make a statement that otherwise wouldn't happen.
The very idea that we can protest is one of the most American things about living in this country. On opening day for MLB, some of the ball clubs, some of the guys knelt, and I was struck by a quick flurry of tweets saying, if this is what MLB is going to be, I'm never watching baseball again. When you hear that, what do you think? You know, this is America's pastime we're talking about.
I mean, I don't get it. When you're somebody, when you like a big sport and everybody's supposed to watch, this is when you have to step forward and say, this is what I'm protesting for. Because I think this is gonna be great for this day, maybe in the future for people to be in the same page. We are a role model for many people.
What is the role of sports right now in 2020 in this whole narrative of social justice?
I think that athletes have a responsibility, but those same people who look at ball players as role models, they have something negative to say when they're trying to set an example when it comes to racism and equality. You know, aren't those good values that you want your children to have? This whole protest is being overshadowed of flipping the narrative a little bit by being unpatriotic, by being radical. They will say anything because protest forces change. And change means that there is something about me that's not right. And when you want people to see that in themselves, they don't like change because they're comfortable being who they are. Because it's almost saying, ignoring it don't make it go away. And if I ignore the fact that I have an issue here, I don't have to worry about correcting it. protesting brings that to the forefront.
Well, that's true, Mookie. That's real good, because you look at the platforms that athletes have today are tremendous platforms because of social media, and we didn't have that in our times of playing sports. So they can use their voices for a lot of different things outside of what they do on the basketball court or the baseball field or football field. And racism, that's a learned behavior. That's a generational thing. A lot of people don't like to hear the real reality of what we've been dealing with for so long. But if it's for us to get better at what we're doing spiritually, we're gonna have to have an awakening, and things are gonna have to change that way.